Simultaneously, I'm working on this clock ring. This is the bezel that goes around the clock on the dashboard. This thing was extremely pitted in deep pits. I sanded it down with my DA. I probably took half the metal off of it, and still I've got these pits. Now this has been in flash copper and it's been in acid copper, I think 3 times. And I've sanded on it. I'm trying to fill up these pits. Interesting thing, this never blisters like the base of the windshield wiper does. And it's the same, I go through the same procedure. SB4, number 4 pickle, sanding, you know, I do the very identical thing, and this doesn't blister. Don't know. I had another one of these, and so I'm gonna try again. I've sanded these down again, pretty much ground them down to bare pot metal except around the edges where there's some copper. And I'm gonna sandblasted them, and then I did them with number 600 to kind of smooth them out a little bit. So there's a couple of options here. One of the options, if you go on the Caswell site and look at forums, there's a guy by the name of 46 Buick or 48 Buick that's posted a lot of information on doing pot metal. He's the one that said Chrysler pot metal was the worst in the world, and I'm finding that out. But he talks a lot about going in live, as he calls it. In other words, you crank your current up a little bit, and then you hook your electrode to it and dip it in with the, so that, well, the theory is that the electrons will attack that pot metal and stick to it before the chance the pot metal has to react. So I've tried that on a couple of things. I didn't get good results, but I'm going to try it again on this, see if I can get it to stop blistering. And the other thing is, since it looks like temperature is what makes it worse, when I take it out, it doesn't look that bad, but then when I put it in subsequent, like the acid copper and then into nickel, looks like the heat causes those bubbles, blisters, to enhance themselves. So I don't know, maybe I'll lower the temperature on my flash. It's running about 110 like they recommend, but maybe that's too high, maybe it's too low. So a couple of things I'm going to try again. If I keep grinding on these things, I'm not going to have anything left, but we're going to try it. Another disappointment. This one, I sanded it down to bare pot metal all over. I really took a lot of metal off, got it down below all the pits. I sanded it with 180, then 600 to smooth it out. I sandblasted it in between those two, and it should have been good clean metal. This one I did not put in SB cleaner. I did not put in pickle 4. I went straight into flash copper at high current. I inserted it hot with some high current, left it about 15 seconds at high current, and then cut it down to where the amperage should be. The disappointing thing about these was they come out of the pot and they're kind of wet, or even after you dry them off, they look beautiful. beautiful salmon color. Looks like everything's smooth until you hit it with just number 600 sandpaper, and those little, I don't know if you can see them in this video, but they almost look like dirt or something on its surface, but it's not. And then everywhere that is, the copper's not sticking. You can see here where I've sanded on it, and the copper just peels right off. So the copper's not sticking. And I thought at one time, well, maybe it's absorbing SP cleaner or pickle in the pores of this pot metal, and then it's, you know, it's wicking itself out underneath the copper. But this one hasn't been in SP cleaner or pickle number 4. And it's down to raw pot metal. So why won't it take it? I honestly don't understand it. Well, I got another one. I've got it in, now that one I've got in flash copper right now. And that one I did go into SP cleaner. I pickled it, rinsed it off real good, and put it into flash copper, and it's flashing right now. So we'll see how that one turns out. I think what I'm going to do with this one, when I take this next one out of flash, I'm going to sand it with number 600 and see if it's peeling off at that stage, or does it happen when it goes into the acid copper. This one had been into flash and acid. I took it out of acid, and this is what I have. So let's see what happens with the next one. Okay, here's the second one. This one's got a bad pit in it. I filled it with Muggy Weld, but all of it didn't stick down in that hole. So I've got to make up my mind what I'm going to do about that. But nevertheless, I took this out of flash copper after about maybe 30 minutes. I didn't leave it in there long. Sanded with 600, and I see none of that bubbling or lifting at this stage. So is it something that's happening in acid copper? When I put this in acid copper, I don't know, is it penetrating that flash copper, getting underneath it and causing it to lift and bubble? I don't know what's going on. So I got to put this back in flash now, because I sanded through a couple places to the pot metal. So I'm going to put it back in flash and see. And this time I'll leave it in there an hour, maybe 2, and see if it'll come out smooth as it did this time. This is that clock bezel I talked about earlier. I just took it out of flash, and it looks good. I don't see any bubbling on it at all. It didn't bubble before, so I'm going to put it in acid and see how it performs. This is out of the acid copper. I've buffed it, and it's looking real good. I get no lifting on this at all. And I think that other windshield base or windshield wiper base is going to turn out okay. The one that's giving me so much trouble, I don't know. I think it's pot metal, which means it's floor sweepings and maybe there's a whole lot of aluminum in that particular piece or something, I don't know, but I can't get the copper to stick to it consistently. So we got a few more things to try with that, but for this right here, it's looking real good. I'm probably gonna have to go 4 or 5 more times in copper to I'm trying to fill these little pits. And I think it is filling a little bit, but I mean, after about 3 plates, they're still very visible. So I'm going to keep plating this part and sanding and see if I can get those pits filled.